Welcome to Squat Rex. Tonight we're going to talk about the front squat variation of the back squat. According to a lot of coaches, the front squat is a preferable alternative to the back squat and has a lot more carryover effect into different athletic endeavors. Tonight we'll talk about technique and we'll talk about troubleshooting some common problems with your front squat. Because of the position of the front squat, the bar in front of you on your shoulders, it's going to put some different stress on your knees and on your lower back. You'll squat with a much more upright style, and your knees have a tendency to track a little bit further forward than they will in the back squat. Also, your hips are going to lower into the hole in a straighter line than they would for the back squat. As you set up for the front squat, you're going to take a grip slightly wider than shoulder width. You'll have to experiment with your width of grip to find something that's comfortable for you. If you're taking a clean grip, it's typically going to be a little wider than shoulder width. You're going to position yourself underneath the bar with your elbows held as far forward as you possibly can. You're going to position the bar on top of your front delts, across your clavicles, and resting slightly against your throat. However, you don't want it cutting off circulation. Position your hips underneath the bar and lift off of the rack. Step back into a comfortable position, and then you're going to squat straight down. You want to maintain upper body position throughout the squat. A couple finer points with the front squat. With the clean grip, you want to make sure that your elbows are turned as far upward as you possibly can. When you lower into the squat, you want to lower under control. Do not bounce at the bottom. So lower, keep the elbows up, and drive up. You want to keep that head back throughout the movement and keep those elbows up. If your elbows drop, what your upper body will have a tendency to do is round forward, and you're going to lose the weight. If you find your elbows dropping forward at the bottom of your front squat, that means the weight's probably too heavy for you, and you should back off a little bit on that weight. Doing the front squat from a different point of view. Again, I'm going to set up my hands a little bit wider than shoulder width. I'll step under the bar. I've got my elbows positioned as high as I possibly can. Notice how I've actually let a couple of my fingers come off of the bar. As long as you have, I think, 2 or 3 fingers on the bar, you're probably going to still maintain the benefits of having a clean grip with better control of the bar. Get your hips underneath the bar, press up, step out of the racks. Normally I would be backing out of the racks, of course. Set yourself up, head up, chest out, keep those elbows up throughout the entire movement. Deep breath. And that's front squat. You really need to make sure that these elbows stay as high as possible. A couple things to note about front squats. If you're used to doing back squats where you sit back into your squat a great deal and you're keeping those knees back as far as possible, keeping that weight on your heels. If you switch to a front squat, very likely with the upright position, you are not going to be able to move those hips as far back. If you move those hips far back in a front squat, what's going to happen is the weight's just going to dump on you. Because of the upright position, your hips are going to have to come down in a straighter line with the front squat, and because of that, your knees are going to travel a little bit further forward. There's going to be a little bit more stress on the knees. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad for your knees. There's just more stress on your knees. Take your time working into heavier weights with the front squat. Another reason for knee pain, and this is something that a lot of people don't think about when they're squatting. If you decide to try new shoes, whether it's with a heel like an Olympic shoe or a flat sole like a Chuck Taylor. If you shift to a new shoe or a different shoe, that's going to put a different stress on your legs and your knees. So if you decide to change shoes, take your time getting accustomed to it just like you would a new exercise. A typical complaint you'll hear with people who are trying the front squat for the first time are, my wrists hurt, my shoulders and elbows aren't flexible enough to get under the bar. Typically, you'll find that people who are trying a clean grip for the first time with their front squats are trying to hold the bar in a regular position and then holding it here. Most people don't have the flexibility for this unless they've been training for quite some time. So what I would suggest to you is to unwrap those thumbs, maybe try moving your grip out a little bit, and then try bringing that bar in that position. Other things you can try are wrist stretches and warm-ups before you begin your front squatting session. Dislocates are another good stretch. Also, if you're having a tough time getting into proper position underneath the bar with a clean grip, you can try getting into position unilaterally, just one arm at a time. So instead of trying to get a clean grip with both hands at the same time, focus in on just bringing one arm underneath and getting into position that way. Tricep stretches are another exercise that will loosen you up a little bit and maybe make it easier for you to get into proper position for that front squat. Jim Schmitz, who was an Olympic weightlifting coach of the U.S. national weightlifting team for many Olympics, said that he had coached literally thousands of athletes in his career in how to front squat. He said that fewer than 1% of all of those people he instructed were just physically unable to accustom themselves to the clean grip when doing front squats. In my own experience, I found that even rather large athletes can get themselves into a proper position. And given 3 to 6 weeks of steady training in the front squat, they'll soon develop the flexibility needed to have that clean grip while front squatting. If you're not patient enough to wait those 4 to 6 weeks with the front squat and endure the discomfort that you're probably going to experience, you can try a couple different things. One of them would be the traditional cross your heart position. You would lay the bar across your shoulders and then cross your arms in front of you. Now, from this position, if you have to lose the bar, you can probably still get rid of it fairly easily. Another alternative to the clean grip would be to put lifting straps on the bar and holding onto these as you get into position underneath the bar. With either the cross your chest method or using the weightlifting straps, you aren't going to have as much control with the bar, but they are reasonable alternatives to a clean grip. There's some benefits with using the front squat that you can get from the back squat. Number one, it's easier to dump the weight if you get into trouble. If you're in a power rack, you're going to have to dump it onto the support beams. If you have bumper plates, you can just drop it onto the ground. Because of the clean grip, it's pretty easy to just kind of push the weight away from your body. If you are doing any kind of shoulder works like push press, jerks, the front squat puts you in a position to do those exercises more effectively. The front squat is a great abdominal exercise. By keeping your upper body as upright as possible and holding that position, it's a great core stability builder. The front squat can be a difficult squat variation to master. With patience and diligence, you can improve your wrist, elbow, and shoulder flexibility needed to hold the front squat in a clean position. I think you'll find with that position, you're going to have a lot more control and a lot of the other components of the front squat will fall into place. Good luck.